think that it's important for Indigenous folks to understand human rights law because Indigenous folks, by and large, are systemically oppressed. Racism and discrimination is a daily thing in Indigenous folks' lives.
Community Legal Assistance Society, also known as CLASS, has been around since 1971, and we've been providing free legal services to low-income people in BC for the last 50 years. The Canadian Human Rights Commission had actually done some research with Indigenous groups across the country, asking them about barriers to accessing the system. They found that people didn't trust the system, didn't know it even existed. We partnered with the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres last year on a partnership project to provide education and resources to Indigenous communities to help them better understand and navigate BC's human rights system.
I think that we need to put some of these cases before the courts and make them publicly known so that people will know where the line is, so that Indigenous people will know that they have this resource, and so that non-Indigenous people who are serving us will know that they're crossing the line, that this is where you're crossing the line and infringing on our human rights.
Deborah Campbell came to see me after she had another incident with the Vancouver police, her and her son. She was out walking her little dogs, and she encountered her son out walking on the street as well with another young woman. And suddenly a police car showed up and and the police officer got out and started arresting her son. 3 other officers came. At least one of those officers dragged her 35 to 40 feet away from the arrest of her son. At one point was mocking her, making a point of trying to block her from witnessing the arrest of her son, threatening her with arrest. We took this case to the Human Rights Tribunal and we got to the hearing stage. They had to advance a theory that our client was inciting a riot to justify the number of officers who were on the scene and the way that they treated her. Deborah made it very clear that she did not consent to the human rights process, but it was the only process she could access. It also mattered to her that she had Indigenous counsel. She ensured that she had access to smudging. She ensured that she had access to elders to open that hearing process. Deborah Campbell won her case. That was the outcome of her case. And it was important in this case that the Human Rights Tribunal found that Deborah Campbell was discriminated against based on her race by the police, and they were held accountable. Deborah Campbell is an Indigenous woman, and she was represented by 2 other Indigenous women. And when it came to getting into the hearing room and the 3 of us all in a row, it felt pretty powerful. It's a case that I think we're all incredibly proud of advancing. And when the decision came down, I burst into tears.
So I left my children's father due to abuse, and I was in a safe home for a year. And then when I moved out, I secured a place in Burnaby. I was super happy to be able to get out on my own and start fresh and really create a good space for me and my children. But what ended up happening was that the landlord was crossing boundaries constantly. And whereas renting this space and felt it my right to smudge, he felt differently. And he evicted me on the basis that I was smudging in my rental suite. He sent me 3 eviction notices, and I won 2 of them, and then just kind of gave up on the 3rd because he wasn't changing his mind. And so I went and met with Kate Feeney and one of her associates. I had to lay out everything that happened. I saved all of my messages that we kind of had between my landlord and I, and sent all of those to them. And yeah, they kind of took it from there, and they supported me through the process. For this to happen was wrong, and it needed to be noted. It needed to be heard. The reason why I felt it necessary to move forward, even though I didn't trust the Canadian legal system, was for my kids. I want them to know that they have strength, that there's strength in our blood. I want to say that you can never really know the outcome of the case, but my lawyers were confident that we were doing quite well. Am I happy with it? I think so. I think it was fair. I really would like Indigenous people to know that this is a difficult process, but it is a necessary one, and that they should move forward with it.